Yeah, but I don't know how we got to that.
How would we get it right?
Because Josh said
TLC or something.
Yeah, we're talking about TLC.
Alright, we need to survey a random sample of 300 passengers on a flight from San Francisco to Tokyo. Name each sampling method described below. So you will need your notes to pick these out. Pick every 10th passenger as people board the plane.
Oh, what? That's the stratified.
This one might not have been in your notes, actually.
I thought it was.
Well, that's
Oh wait.
It's called something different.
SRS.
No.
Oh, it's just then choose 10 students at random food pack. Oh. Never mind.
This one's not in your notes. It's called systematic.
Oh.
Should we put it in our notes?
I mean, just make sure you know it, I guess. Systematic is basically just saying that there's like a certain process to which you are grabbing people. Like every 10th passenger that boards the plane, so you know, you come up with like a pattern that you're gonna follow. This one is in your notes though. From the boarding list, randomly select 5 people flying first class and 25 of the other passengers.
SRS.
No.
Stratified sampling.
Stratified. Why did you say stratified?
Because like
You're separating them from first class from to regular.
Yeah, they're broken up into groups already, and then they are pulling people, but it's also proportionately representative. Okay, that's why there's 5 in first class and 25 others, because obviously normally there's not as many in first class as there are regular. So you can assume by that there's probably about 5 times as many, at least, in the other portion. C, randomly generate 30 seat numbers and survey the passengers that sit there.
SRS.
It can't be biased. SRS. We're not on a bias question yet. We're on a sampling question, okay? Simple random sample, SRS. Okay, because that gives every person an equal chance of being chosen, because they just threw all the seat numbers in there and are selecting 30 at random, obviously without repeats. Randomly select a seat position, for example, right window, right center, right aisle, etc., and survey all the passengers sitting in those seats. Cluster. All right. A question posted on the Linkos website on June 18th of 2000 asked the visitors to the site to say whether they thought that marijuana should be legally available for medicinal purposes.
Talk about marijuana a lot in stats class.
Yeah, drugs, smoking, alcohol, it's all kind of a common theme. So, what is the population?
No.
What is the generic population for this website?
Visitors to the site.
2000.
Does it have to be one of these?
Or is it the
It's not actually written in there.
Equal.
Adults in the U.S. Linkos is like a website that
Oh.
adults would be going to. Not like, it's not like that, but like.
Right.
So it's an
Yeah.
adult.
Not like that. Oh, okay. So we're not looking for a number. We're
Adults in the
looking-
U.S.
Okay.
Right. The population is who are you pulling from?
Okay.
I thought it was for a number.
And you said 2000. That's the year.
2000 asked visitors.
That's the year.
Great grammar. The population parameter of interest.
Visitors to the site.
What's the population?
Nope.
Give me a second. Let me look.
Numbers.
What did you say?
It's the people who smoke marijuana.
We don't know.
Okay, not exactly, but close. Okay,
Sample statistics.
the portion
What are you saying?
of U.S. adults that feel.
Oh, that feels should be legal.
Yep.
Okay.
You have to think about what it's asking for.
Okay.
Should be legalized for medicinal purposes. So this is saying basically out of the entire population in the United States, I want the people who feel that marijuana should be legalized for medicinal purposes. That's specifically who we're trying to target. The sampling frame. Now this one, it's not really specific, but obviously it's asking people who visit the site, so we would say the visitors to the site, or not specific, but people visiting the site. Because obviously we don't know who's going to this site. Like I don't know enough about this website to know who's going. I've heard of it before, but I don't know enough about it to know like what the typical population is that would be, or people who would be going to that site where it's going to be asked. So the sample then is what?
People who think marijuana.
People who respond to the survey
Where?
on the
On the
website.
website.
Okay, so specifically those who visited the website and responded to the survey. All right, now what sampling method was used?
That would be. Wait a minute, I got it. I'm gonna go with
Stratify.
Maybe Stratify. Yeah. So Stratify.
It's probably not either of those
That's alright. That's nice.
Wait,
because
something else.
I said cluster.
because we're not like pulling a certain group of people. It's the people who are coming to the website, and so it's going to be more random because we don't know who's coming to the website. So I would say SRS. Now, was randomization employed?
No.
No, because it was the people who just came to the website, and that, typically is not random. People aren't just like randomly showing up on that website. It's going to be people who are already going there anyways, so no randomization. Now, what potential source of bias do we have?
A biased question.
You got
The
this.
people who are like willing to
So, like,
answer.
A voluntary response. That's biased,
Why?
right? Because they're choosing to respond.
Yep. And if they're choosing to respond, what does that probably say about them?
Strongly
They
motivated about
about
marijuana being
marijuana.
used as medicinal purposes.
Yeah. They probably already really care about the issue. So people choose to respond if they already care about the issue. Number 3. Hoping to learn what issues may resonate with voters in the coming election, the campaign manager for the mayoral candidate selects one block from each of the city's election districts. Staff members go there and interview all the residents they can find. Who's the population?
Residents in the city.
districts.
City residents who are also voters, I would say. Because obviously there's an age restriction on voting, so, 5-year-olds shouldn't be getting polled.
Think about the political
Now, what is the population parameter of interest?
Can you explain this to me?
So, what are they looking to find out? What are they kind of asking in a sense?
like
What issues they care about?
Yeah. So this one is not the most specific of questions, to be honest, in how they are wording it. But because it says hoping to learn what issues may resonate with the voters, I would say something like might be interested in how the voter responds to a particular issue. Or if they're asked what issues they care about, kind of thing, like that. Also might be another way you could word that. But this one didn't have something super specific that they were looking at. They weren't how do you feel about the topic of abortion? Okay? They're not asking that specifically. They're asking more generically, I feel like, in this sense. But the sampling frame would be who?
residents on the blocks who can vote.
Yeah, basically all city residents. Huh?
Is it specific or?
The sample itself is going to be specific. The sampling frame would be all the residents.
Okay.
All city residents. So the sample is going to be where it gets more specific. So then now, who are they actually sampling?
Who
Voters
can vote?
Where?
in the districts.
City?
The blocks from the block city.
Yeah. So basically, the residents found on one block in each district. And obviously, we do care about if they can vote or not. And it didn't specify, I don't think, but the block may be chosen at random, or blocks may be chosen at random. So, every, I don't know how they're broken up, but, I'm just going to go with the precincts for Newport News. So there's, North, Central, and South Precinct, and I'm sure there's other ways that it gets broken up anyways. But basically, they would choose a block out of each district. But they should put all the blocks in a pool and then pull one randomly if that's really what they're going to do. Now, it doesn't specify if that's what they did, but that's what should happen. It shouldn't just be well, I think I'm going to pick this one.
Right.
It should be picked randomly. So the sampling method was what, and including was randomization.
Or would it be stratified?
So it's actually both.
Okay.
So it's multi-stage.
Okay. Because you're selecting a block from each city and then going to the residents.
So it's stratified by district. So it's all in one city. We know that. So it's stratified by district. and then it's clustered by block. Because everyone on a block would be a cluster.
Right.
But stratified is that they're doing it by district within the city. And then it's going to a more specific cluster by block. Now, it doesn't specify that it was random. Okay? So it doesn't, if they had said, you know, in each district they randomly chose a block, then we could say it was random. The other thing was, with it being random or not, would be not going just to one specific block, but randomly choosing houses around the area. So this one would be no randomization either. So what are some potential sources of bias? Or what? Yeah, convenience sample.
Response bias? Because I mean, it's the campaign.
Or like,
Trying to look at how we defined it to see. I have convenience sample, but sometimes there will be other ones. I may have one down specifically. So I had convenient sampling because are the people at home or at work when they come by, or you know,
yeah.
what questions are being asked, like, and stuff like that. Because it's kind of like, quote unquote, easy to reach because they're going to all one block. And then also, like, what time of day are they going? You know, things like that. Somebody said undercoverage.
Did you say undercoverage? Probably not as much since it's like for each district in the city, a block for each district.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it
not every
could
block,
be,
though.
it
But,
could
yeah,
be
it's
because
not
they're
every
only going to one block in each
Yeah.
district, and we don't really know how big the district is. I mean, if the
Right.
district is,
So-
you know, made up of 5 blocks and they chose one, it's probably a decent representation, but, so you could justify that.
Yeah.
I would just say whatever you put down,
Like justify
you need
it.
to justify
Right.
it.
Okay.
So if you put down under coverage, then you could say, you know, something along the lines of, you know, they're not sampling everyone in the district, or, you know, they're not getting a good random sample of the district. They're only taking one block out of that district or something like that. It doesn't tell us how they're asking the question, so response bias would be a little harder to justify because response bias is asking the question in such a way to get a response. Like if they said, like, you know, back to the abortion one, like if they said, you're not okay with abortion, are you? Trying to get a response that way, then that would cause that, but we don't know exactly what they're asking, so. But anyway, so as long as you justify your answer and it does, you know, logically make sense, obviously. Don't just be like, 'cause I feel like it. I usually pretty much, I'm a little more lenient with the answers that come with that, so. So again, people at home or at work. Time of day. The location, because we don't know enough about, you know, is it an apartment? Is it townhouses? Is it condos? Is it like regular houses? Like you don't know. And then potentially the questions of the staff members that are asking that are asking them.
Yeah, because I feel like depending on what kind of block it is, like if you either do it at a block where it's like pretty developed there, or you do it at a block where it's not developed, they're gonna be like totally different problems. It's like,
Well, and then like a gated neighborhood versus not,
Yeah.
you know, somewhere that you can't get into, but you know, you're dealing with all different kinds of things that are, you know. So it's probably not the best way
right.
that they're doing it, but it's better than some things. Like, and we're not 100% sure that there is bias to this. We're just trying to say what could potentially cause a bias within this particular thing. All right, number 4. Manufacturers and advertising agencies often use interviews at shopping malls to gather information about consumer habits and the effectiveness of ads. A sample of mall shoppers is fast and cheap. How might this type of survey be biased?
to people that
Convenience,
like-
because it says
Fast and cheap.
people at malls.
Yeah. I also think of undercoverage as well. So there's a few
Yeah.
different options here.
definitely.
Um,
Oh, because they're not going to everyone in the mall.
because right, well, and on the other side of things, not everyone shops at the mall, right?
Yeah.
So everyone's opinion wouldn't be heard. You're looking at who comes to the mall, which like obviously in this day and age is a little different than probably when this book was written and these questions came out. But you're looking at that. Also, like, let's be honest, if you're, for me, like when you go to, say like Walmart, I don't know if y'all have ever like been in there, like maybe with your parents or whatever, maybe even by yourself, and you're walking by and they're like, excuse me, what cable and internet provider do you have? And they want to talk to you and stuff. I'm like, I'm good. My favorite was saying I don't have a house. And they were like, oh, have a nice day.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but things like that where, you know, the people that either have a lot of time on their hands are going to answer, or people that feel really strongly about these ads potentially that they're bringing up. So, you have a few different things you could say here. I would say convenient sample because they're easy to reach, they're at the mall, right? Undercoverage because not everyone shops at the mall.
Oh wait, what about non-responsive? Would that be one? 'Cause, like, some people.
Probably not. Non-response is going to be more like a mailing survey where it comes to you and you decide if you're
I
going to
was
send
thinking,
it
like,
back
they
or
come
not.
up to you and you say no. Like, don't.
Maybe, again, it's something you might could justify, but I think with this one, there's several we could justify.
Is non-response one of those things like the people who answer are probably just the people who are like already passionate about whatever the topic is, or like
Kind of, yeah. Non-response is usually more like a survey comes to you in the mail and you decide if you're going to respond or not, kind of thing. So I would say the ones I would stick to are convenient sample and undercoverage for this one. Bad sample frame kind of is like undercoverage, but they're not using like a set group of people to represent everyone. So that's why I would say probably not that one, but it just would depend on how you went about justifying it. So the bias would either be undercoverage or a convenient sample. Because not everyone shops at the mall. So their opinion wouldn't be heard. And that explanation kind of covers both things. But you could also say it's easy to get a lot of people to survey at the mall because there's so many people. When people try to talk to me at the mall, I just keep walking too, you know. Peyton probably recognizes it more than others, but they'll like try to hand you like lotion and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe they do it for the guys too, but I only really ever see them do it for the girls. They're like, ma'am, are your hands dry? And I'm like, honestly, not really. Like, thanks though.
My hands are great.
well, it'll be like if you go to Patrick Henry and like the vendors like in the middle of them all,
Yeah.
they have their little store. They'll all
I
be
think
like,
it's weird
"Hey,
stuff on there.
yeah.
I got some weird stuff that they print on t-shirts.
I remember this
Yeah.
one lady when me and my dad were in the mall. She was like really trying to get him to buy some lotion or something. She was like at the point like flirting with him almost, and it was kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
crazy.
My favorite one are there are these guys that they clean shoes
Oh,
that sit
yeah.
outside like
yeah.
Aeropostale or something like that. So like you kind of have to walk by them to like go anywhere. And they're like, ma'am, do you need your shoes cleaned? And I'm like, no. And they're like, but we can clean. I'm like, dude, I'm wearing Crocs. He's like, we can clean those too. And I was like, I'm good.
We can clean those too.
Like,
I'm not taking them off and giving them to you.
They're like, I'll clean anything.
No, they clean them on your feet.
Yeah.
That's weird.
You literally sit there and they clean them.
No,
my thing
no.
is, if I'm going to the mall, I'm not gonna be wearing shoes that would need cleaning.
Yeah.
Like nice shoes that
Yeah.
like I would never wear.
I don't wear my nicest shoes in the mall.
I hear that bag.
You don't dress nice to go to the mall?
No. Which is not Patrick
I just don't
Henry.
really know.
Maybe MacArthur Mall, but
Yeah.
Lynnhaven Mall also maybe it's a
Yes,
little
I like
nicer.
Lynnhaven.
I've only been to MacArthur and Patrick Henry. Never been to Lynnhaven.
Lynnhaven's where the Apple store is.
I love Lynnhaven.
And Dave and Buster's.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Haven't been there in a hot minute though. All right. 5. Ann Landers once asked her readers of her advice column, if you had to do it over again, would you have children? She received nearly 10,000 responses, almost 70% saying no.
Gosh.
Comment on this
What?
type of sampling.
Wait, I don't understand. You had to do it over again.
If you
If you had, like, if you were gonna have kids again, would you?
Like if you like your children get erased from the earth.
And you were gonna do it
Yeah.
over again, would you do it?
Dang, 70% said no.
okay, well I would say like I would say that's like a
Well,
non-response.
on her advice.
No,
Isn't
it's
that
wait,
so
it's
sampling,
the
Josh?
sampling. That's not the bias.
So-
But it's
Well-
it's still biased.
Oh, type of sampling.
Is this not response? Because I feel
Yeah,
like
this part of it is non-response.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's that the type of sampling?
because
Because I mean, it's different
people
from
who
two.
respond are different from those who
Is
don't.
this also response bias? Is she asking it in a weird way? I feel like it's one of those questions. I swear it's not response.
Or would
If you
it-
had to
would
do it over
strike
again, would you have children? That's still a yes or no question, so I feel like it would probably be okay. But there is one other type of
So if it was saying
bias
like, you
that I
wouldn't
s-
have children,
feel
you
like
had to do it
like
again,
you wouldn't have
you-
children again if you had to do it over.
That
Like,
would be
would you? Like that kind of a
yeah, Would
thing.
it be
Convenient sample because it's only people in her advice.
or a
So they're easy
voluntary
to reach.
response?
Oh my gosh, we're
Is it
naming everything.
voluntary because
Voluntary.
yeah.
Yeah, you'd be strongly
'Cause if you-
motivated.
Because if you feel a really like a certain way, because I would wager more than 70%, or no, less than 70% would actually say no if you really polled the population and everybody
Yes.
had to answer.
Yeah.
But
But it's only people
All the
that
people
really wish they
who
didn't have kids.
are really
and I mean, obviously, it is kind of just the people who read her column. So obviously, there
And we don't really know what her columns are
is
about. So
that ask that. I cannot talk.
so like her columns could be the reasons you shouldn't have kids or something like that. I don't know.
But so
So-
would the type of sampling be like
Oh, that's true. I
Like-
assume it's gonna be like the.
SRS? Because I mean, like it's not set up to be random, kind of like the website one, but I mean it is random. A little bit.
Well, the website one was this one.
Yeah, that's,
People that regularly visit her website.
To an extent, I would think. Well, I'm pretty sure this is a column in the newspaper.
Oh,
but-
I thought.
Yes.
Oh, I assumed it was like an internet advice thing.
This one's kind of hard to say with the type of sampling. I would probably tend to say stratified because that involves different groups, which the group would be reading her column.
Reading, yeah.
And then it's kind of random from that based on who responds. So stratified with simple random sampling would probably be how I would
So
pick
what
it.
do you state?
Well, stratified involves simple random.
Okay. Oh yeah.
So stratified to SRS because they're, like it's already a group of them who read her column, right? Or don't read her column kind of thing. And then that. But then with the bias as well, we said non-response because obviously you can choose to respond or not. But then also voluntary response. because people who have strong opinions one way or the other are more likely to respond. They already have this. Dartboards. You're probably like, what are we doing? This is probably like this is like precision and accuracy.
Ew, the first and third ones, the middle circle's not in the middle.
I see the third one, but I mean the first one's pretty in the middle. I think it's more the second
No,
one.
they're all in
I
the
think
middle.
it's just your perspective.
They're all in the middle, guys.
No, I
They're not, but
And then the fourth one's a little above the rest of them.
Oh my gosh, chill out. The
Well,
third
it's not
one's
wrong
I'm
though.
not gonna unsee it.
Aren't they all in the middle?
now it just looks like two eyeballs looking at us.
Yeah.
Like two sets of
Oh,
eyeballs.
now I cannot see that.
So much worse on the side. Not gonna lie. Okay. All right, dartboard examples. You're probably like, what in the world are we doing? I'm going to draw dots on there, and then we're going to label what they are.
Alrighty.
So, do we need to draw the dart and the dots?
Well, yes.
Dart in
and
the dots.
You need to draw the dot. Okay.
This is how I be shooting darts.
Oh my gosh, if it keeps getting pushed back,
What?
my package,
What is it?
my shoes.
The gospel.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
How would it
What? You say that one more
The
time?
immortality ones.
gonna have to
Which one's the ones Riley had?
No,
Which one?
the ones that look like it's Squidward and all of them, those
Squidward.
colors combined.
Oh
I
yeah.
forgot what they're called.
But when did they get pushed back to?
9 p.m.
Oh,
Okay,
I thought you meant like
okay.
day, like
It was.
Chill out.
It was supposed to come yesterday, and it got pushed back till today. Then it's supposed to be here by 2:30. Then it got pushed back to 7 p.m. Then
Are
it
these
got pushed back to
Amazon or
9 p.m.
FedEx?
UPS.
when'd you
Oh.
order?
Neither.
Oh, I thought it was
None
the
of
one.
the
I thought you
above.
said one was.
The one that
UPS.
looks like what?
I was like UPS.
I was
I
like,
didn't realize you
The
said
one that
FedEx
looks
or.
like what? Are they
well, with
twos?
FedEx, it's just like, it'll arrive
Twos?
when it arrives.
Real.
Twos.
All right, this first one is high bias, low variability.
Interesting.
So bias is coming from how far away it is, kind of from the middle.
Wait.
No, I say that because
High five.
high bias is kind of like precise, not accurate,
Okay.
sort of. But this is also low variability because they're all packed together. This next one is low bias, kind of because they kind of all average out to be the middle, but high variability because they're spread out. This third one is high bias because they're far away, and high variability because they're spread out. I bet you can't guess what the last one is.
I'm gonna go with.
This is so difficult. I can't.
High bias.
No.
No.
Well, I guess you were right.
I bet correctly.
Low bias.
Yeah.
And this is what we call an ideal situation here. Oh, not ideal.
No.
Low bias and
Low variability.
low variability.
Wait.
Close to
They're
the
all
middle.
same list.
So low bias. So close to what we're seeking. Okay, we're seeking to have a bullseye, right? When you hit the dartboard. Okay, and we want them to all be as closely packed together because that means
They're accurate.
accurate, so low variability.
Uh,
So we'll pick up tomorrow with the rest. We'll finish and then
Oh, suffrage. Wait.
anyways.
like,
Women's stuff?
like